Sexier than Miami Vice, the DX7 was the ultimate 80s gizmo. Unlike the humble electric piano, the DX7 had no knobs for boys to fiddle with. It was smooth, it was sleek, it was black. Verily, it was the Top Gun of home organs. The DX7 was the first keyboard to sell over 1 million and single-handedly killed the Fender Rhodes electric piano, the classic keyboard of the 1970s.
I think it is officially the world's best-selling keyboard. I don't know if it's been surpassed now, but it is, you know, up to this point it is. And it just kind of represented a complete rethink in the sort of forms of synthesis at the time. It was the first time I think the general, well, not the general public, but the general sort of public of producers and musicians took a leap away from analog synthesis into a kind of an altogether sort of more daring sort of method of sound creation.
Sleek and sexy as it was, the DX7 was impossible to use, except in idiot mode.
I think what was so daring about the DX7, well, the whole range, was the sort of rethink in the approach to synthesis. It was the first time they stripped away all the sort of lovely knobs and faders, which up to that point it had been all about. There wasn't a single patch lead, in kind of evidence anywhere on it. It was just all this sort of new kind of menu system where you'd look down, you had a little screen with one parameter on it at a time as to what you were changing about the sound's character. And it shocked a lot of people, and I think, nobody apart from Brian Eno and later me learnt to program it. And I think that was kind of what made it such a sort of daring instrument for anyone to start using.
For a lot of people, it was an easy option because it had, you had instant electric. It was famous for its kind of electric piano sounds and its strings and brass. But it was almost, unless you devoted your life to it, it was almost impossible to edit. And even though the DX7 basic synthesized, the structure, the architecture was fantastic, and the way it created the sounds, but it was so difficult to get at and so unuser-friendly and uninteractive that very few people even bothered tweaking the sounds even in the slightest. So you began to hear exactly the same sounds on every record. And for a lot of people, that was what defined electronic music at the time. And to me, that was just like home organ, kind of home organ in a sense. There's a kind of a sound of 80s records, which is kind of characterized very much by the DX7, especially kind of mid-80s sounds. And because it was such a commercial success, that every other synthesizer company wanted to try and copy it. And the development of interesting synthesizers seemed to stop for a while.
The epic sound of the DX7 became a staple of big rock acts in the 1980s, such as U2, Dire Straits, Phil Collins, and Foreigner.